through YouTube.com. Pop culture.
Our video bitrate is out of recommended range for YouTube.
It's at a recommended range?
Out of recommended range.
Oh.
So set the bitrate between 3 and 4,000 kbps.
I mean, it sounds all right to me.
Mm-hmm.
All right, man. Well, kick us off whenever you are ready.
We'll do it in 3, 2, 1. On this week's episode, what looks sharp at RazorCon? Gamers take on the Guardians of the Galaxy. And what will be the future for Dune? All this and more as we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. This is Gerald Glasser from Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our shows. And if you can, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanican Media, Game Source, the Lakers Fast Break, or Inside Sports Fantasy Football, it is sincerely appreciated. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos without my good friend. He is our own part of the House of Atreides for Pop Culture Cosmos. You got to go ahead and catch him today at humanitymedia.com, popculturecosmos.com. You got to catch his great shows, Topic Ocalypse, and the Super BS Gamescast, plus his amazing book, which you can get today at Amazon and Barnes & Noble, entitled Congratulations, You Suck. It is my good friend. It is Josh Peterson. What's up, man?
What is up? All right. Okay, to start things off here, I don't know if you guys had a chance yet to discuss what was played of Cowboy Bebop, that trailer that they showed on Netflix. But there's been this like weird reaction to it from all the people that I know, because they all know that I'm a huge Cowboy Bebop fan. And granted, the trailer was not like it was cartoony, and like I really hope the rest.
I like what I see from it.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it too. I hope that the show is not like that, but like I liked that trailer. Okay, but I'm having all these people who know that I'm a big fan of Cowboy Bebop. They're texting me now and telling me that this show looks dumb and I should not waste my time watching it. So I'm curious what your thoughts were on it, and do you?
I like it.
Could you?
I really like it. In fact, I'm not a fan of the anime, and I like it, and I'm going to watch it because I think it's stylistic, and I kind of like it. It's different. It is. Yeah. It's presented differently. It's shown off differently. And I really like it. The only thing is John Cho. I know people were concerned about the fact that he looks a little bit older than the lead character, obviously, from Cowboy Bebop. But I'm going to say he's going to get away with it. But yeah, he does look a little bit on the older side. But I like it. It's very stylistic. It's very reminiscent to me of what I've seen from the anime. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, it is very stylistic. I don't know if I'd want to watch a whole series with that tone. Like I would want it. The great thing about the anime is that it was able to switch from being like a jazz piece, jazzy cartoon piece, to something more. It knew when to take itself seriously. And so I guess like I'm just hoping that show is able to make those same transitions, because that is what makes Cowboy Bebop great, because it's a tragedy. It's a jazzy tragedy, I guess. I don't even know if that's a term, but like, what I'm trying to say? Like, it's got that cool, like, jazz. It's cool, but it's also got that, like, heartbreaking feeling that, a story like that needs to be told properly.
Okay. Well, that's pretty heavy. That's more heavy than I thought we would talk about when it concerns Cowboy Bebop, but okay.
I was just saying, man, it's just like there's certain elements of that make that story good, and I just hope that they're able to transition all those elements into real time instead of just trying to make an exact replica of what the anime was. Not that this
I
trailer
just
put me off of the show, but I just hope that it has all the things that make it so great.
it just looks fun to me. I mean, they go after bounties and they're bounty hunters and stylistic and it's cool and to me it's kind of different. You're right. It may get old as far as the stylistic look after a few episodes, but right now I'm really amped for it.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to go ahead.
I'm excited for just the next couple months on Netflix. I mean, yeah, Cowboy Bebop and The Witcher. I don't know, and just even like Games Pass, you got Halo and Forza. There's just a lot to occupy ourselves with in the coming months.
Yep, and you got obviously Spider-Man No Way Home.
Hmm.
You got that, and then also you got Matrix Resurrections. That's coming out later in December. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting rest of the year for 2021. I'm excited for it. Still kind of miffed at Halo Infinite for not coming out on the 20th anniversary. But
Yeah,
hey, you could get a mini fridge instead.
yeah. The mini fridges. I can't believe that those people are scalping those fridges online right now. Like it was
What's the you got okay, you are one of the individuals that buy stuff at scalping online.
because it's become impossible to get
So
otherwise.
how can you say you're not believing or you're just like this is our society in 2021 where
It's
everything is bought and then resold
It's
online.
insane, man. It's insane. And I'm going to have more to talk about on this subject when we get to the toy part. But yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Like it was $200 at Target, and I'm seeing people like scalping those pre orders on eBay for
No,
like
they're a hundred
$400.
bucks MSRP. They're a hundred
Yeah, and I'm
bucks.
seeing people scalp those pre orders on eBay for about $400 or $500. It's crazy.
Jeez Louise. And then speaking of scalping and whatnot, I know there are some things going on in regards to the face mask, the Zephyr from Razer
Oh,
that was sold. And actually, as we talk about this tonight, Sunday night, which again, by the time you're hearing this on podcast, you won't be eligible to get it, unfortunately, and I apologize for that. But Razer Zephyr is going to go back on sale again after the first batch sold out, and that's being resold online for quite a bit more. That's the whole face mask
I've
type
s-
deal with the RGB, with the
yeah,
N95 filters and all that.
I've seen those. I've seen. I mean, I read about this shortage of them, I guess, and people. It's cool. It's a really cool product. I didn't think that it would be something that would really hit the way that it has. So I guess I'd be
It's the RGB effect. That's all. It's Ray the Razor is
right.
presenting it with the RGB. But speaking of Razor, Jamie Monroy, our good friend from Game Source, big shout out to him. Did a walk in honor of all those for breast cancer, either those going through it and then also survivors. Did a walk for his wife and his family who are currently suffering through that right now. Big shout out to him. Our thoughts are with him and his family, but also all those survivors out there. So please, if you can support the American Cancer Society, please do so. I did a walk today. As far as on the day that I said that, on the day we're talking here, I did a walk today to support the fight against breast cancer. But my friend Jamie Monroy, whose family we are sporting and thinking of here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, he stopped by. He will stop by here in a little bit to talk about RazorCon, speaking of the Zephyr, and some other peripherals that Razer introduced, which got everybody up in an uproar in the gaming community. So we'll talk about that, plus his thoughts on the increase and price changes going on with Nintendo Online. Is the new items included worth the value? He's going to share his thoughts coming up here in a bit. Plus, also as well, we've got Don Fobbs returning once again for another fabulous TV update for October. Cannot thank her enough for stopping by. She's going to stop by here in a little bit. Plus, also as well, Mr. Josh and I are going to be talking about a lot of good things, including some toy memories that he has. Guardians of the Galaxy, that's coming out to consoles, not to the theaters, but to the consoles this time around. Is this something we're going to be interested in? Do we hear good things about it? We're going to talk about that coming up. Again, Josh will have some toy memories. I will set some time aside for Uncharted, the Uncharted movie trailer that
Ah,
came out. Yes, I know Josh has some thoughts. So I said on the Friday show I would save some for this show as well. So we got to hear what Josh says. Plus, I probably have more to ramp on this. So we'll go ahead and talk about that coming up here in a bit. But my friend, it all starts with Dune. Dune finally hit theaters this past weekend and HBO Max. It was heavily promoted as being a day and date release, unlike the previous week where Halloween Kills was kind of thought of as just a movie only release. But lo and behold, as they finally started marketing it really that to support it, it's actually out on Peacock simultaneously, and that earned 50 million last week. But because of the hype that went into it, it did earn about $40 million at the box office, slightly less than what I was hoping it would get, but still, it's actually right around what analysts are predicting or actually had predicted for the movie because of the fact it was so heavily promoted on HBO Max. Was hoping for a little bit bigger returns because this brings in the question now. It has earned $220 million worldwide as of this weekend. So there's a big concern right now about the future for the Dune series as far as part two coming out for that series. My question to you is: you've seen the movie, as have I, on the HBO Max platform. I plan to go see it in an IMAX format later this week. Your thoughts on Dune before we get into before we really get into the talk about will there be a sequel? Why they didn't actually plan this out and film this back to back as a sequel in the first place? Why didn't Denis Villeneuve get a guarantee, which I still boggles my mind after what happened with Blade Runner 2049? Your thoughts on Dune the movie before we really get into the future of it?
All right, so I watched it. Took me I'm so sorry. Took me a couple nights to get through this movie, and I did enjoy it. I was trying to explain to my wife like it's really unsettling. Like it's a very unsettling movie, just like the way that it's got such a dark tone and the music, and like you don't really these characters don't behave like your archetypical characters. They're all just violent, and they're either really violent or very noble, I guess. And like that's just I've not been able to predict anything throughout the course of this movie. Um, so that being said, I did enjoy it. I feel like it was very is it really bold move to end the movie where they did and how they did without a guarantee of a sequel.
Yeah, that was to me the most boggling thing, my friends.
Yeah.
After what happened with Blade Runner 2049 and the fact that a third movie in the trilogy that was supposed to be a planned trilogy for Denis Villeneuve, it didn't get made. It didn't get it hasn't been guaranteed that it's not been made yet, but he didn't get a guarantee up front that that was made. So after that happened, you would think he would have gotten assurances from Warner Brothers to maybe film this back to back or something like that. We've seen before with Lord of the Rings and some other movies that you film back to back. You think he would have gotten some guarantees ahead of time before he went and before he underwent this process and told Warner Brothers what exactly he wanted to do and filmed this over the course of two movies as opposed to one. That to me was kind of mind-boggling because the fact that now we're all dependent on what the movie does at the box office and on HBO Max. So it's like we're on pins and needles because Warner Brothers has given no inclination either which way whether or not they want to go ahead with the movie. They've said it's just dependent on what it does here in the US. In fact, after they did a conference call as far as their numbers are concerned, and when they did, they specifically said about Warner Brothers, that is Warner Media, said about this movie that a lot rides on what it does this weekend, and with a $40 million take, which is okay, which is not too bad, but we don't know how well it did on HBO Max. So if it does get greenlit for a sequel, you can thank HBO Max.
Yeah, well, I mean, looking at the worldwide return right now, it's about 220 million, which I would say is pretty good, considering the movie had, I think, it was a budget of 140 million. So I mean,
Yeah.
they've made back what they spent plus some. Like it's like a nearly
You still got to
100%
use the three.
profit.
You still got to use the 3.5 to 1 ratio, three
No,
times to one ratio.
yeah, and I know that, but I mean, and the box office numbers we're getting aren't even counting what's on HBO Max. So I mean, I feel like that could be a lot more than what we're actually aware of. That being said, like it feels foolish. Like even looking at the numbers right now, it would be foolish of them not to make the sequel to this because enough people went out, especially like we're calling this the pandemic box office era. Like enough people went out to watch this movie. It's already doing better than a lot of the movies have so far. It makes sense to go ahead and greenlight this. Even like Hans Zimmer has already been working on music for Dune Part 2. Like it makes sense to move forward with this.
It does make sense to move forward with this. I'm sorry that he didn't get any guarantees. So you said you liked the film, correct?
I like the film. I mean, I want to know more. I want to see the rest of it. I think the film had a very dark tone to it, and
I think it'll be much better if part two does get made and you can watch them together in unison. It does have the Halo 2 style ending where it
yeah,
just stops. But to me, it was a really good film, especially the first 75% of it was really good
it
as far
was
as that's concerned.
it was really good. There's a lot of exposition, a lot of like setting things up for what will eventually happen in part 2. And I
Yeah.
feel like because of that, a lot of the characters didn't get fleshed out as well as they could have been.
I
But I'm
agree because a
still,
lot of the characters are like a little bit here, a little bit here. Outside of Timothy Chalamet and maybe Rebecca Ferguson, a lot
yeah,
of the characters only get, maybe like you get a sample of Jason Momoa here, then you get a sample of Oscar Isaac here, and then you get a sample of Josh Brolin here, and so on and so forth. Or Zendaya, you barely even see her in the film. I mean, you only get little bits of each of these characters. Even Stellan Skarsgård, who plays
the
Baron
Baron.
Harkonnen,
Yeah.
you only see a little bit of him in the it seems like it was just and that's good that they centered around Timothée Chalamet because the fact is he is such a key component of this film.
And a big issue too is that there are so many interesting
And his hair,
characters.
I just got to mention his hair
And
too.
his hair, yeah, is its own character. But there are so many interesting characters in this movie. And,
Yes,
it almost feels unfair that each of them did not get about 20 minutes of screen time to, like, kind of develop. Like we got to see, like you said, we got to see the glimpses. And, yeah, you do want to know more. As far as like it being a faithful adaptation to the novel, like I've only read a few chapters of the book. I think I was too young when I picked it up and I kind of like lost interest. One thing I did notice that was different was the doctor lady, the one that put the thumper out in the ground.
yeah,
She was a he in the book, and he was related to Zendaya's character, and I'm curious if that's going to be played out in if they're going to mention that at all in part 2. But other than that, like it seemed pretty faithful to what I had read so far in the book. Have you read the
it's
book?
actually
What are your thoughts?
I've actually am reading it as we speak. As far as well, not as we speak, but I've been reading it over the course of the past couple months. Here, little bits here, a little bit there. I actually have it right now, right near me here. So it's something that I have been trying to go through just because of the movie that was going on, and I am seeing it at I'm seeing a lot of similarities between what's going on in the books and what went on in the film. At least part one so far, and I've been told and I've seen that this is probably of the miniseries original film and this film that this is the most sincere adaptation to Frank Herbert's work.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's good. I mean, I'm hearing praise all over the place about that. Do you I guess like
I will say though that you need to see this out in the theaters.
I
IMAX.
that's
This is yeah.
it,
This
it
I saw it on TV, and I now want to see it even more on IMAX.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention is the fact that the cinematography it's beautiful, and I love like I know I talk about color palettes, but this has some really beautiful color palettes, right? Like on the planet where they come from, you get like your blues, like it's almost like grayish blues, but they still like pop, and then you go to the Arakan is that how you say it? And you get like the oranges and the golds, right, and the dark browns, and when you're on Harkonnen, you get the blacks and the reds, like very Sith-like. And it seems like each house has their own unique set of colors, and every shot, even when they're about to like go into these big battle scenes, have these beautiful establishing shots. Like this is what made Blade Runner 2049 such a magnificent film for me, was the fact that they really went above and beyond to like help you to help immerse you into that world with each shot that was made for that film. And that's why I really love Denis Villeneuve, and I love his cinematographer. I Yes, I absolutely
Dinkins, Roger Dinkins.
yeah, and I would absolutely love to see this movie in theater at some point, because just watching it on the TV did not do it justice for me.
Agreed. Very much agreed. And I will be seeing it in IMAX for sure. I'm just saying, I'll just say right now that it's very close to the magnificent work of Blade Runner 2049.
Oh,
It just, the visual
yeah.
style is just about as good. I thought a little bit more colorful in Blade Runner 2049, so a little bit more eye appealing, but not by much. These are just, both this movie and Blade Runner 2049 from a cinematography standpoint is just a cut above everything else that I've seen in quite some time.
Yeah. And as we're closing this out, I got one more question for you.
Yep.
So I haven't read, like I said, I've only read a few chapters of the first book, and I have been looking into like what the next set of books is about. And this is something that like
The Children of
the
Dune
yeah
and all
Dune
that. Yeah.
Messiah, Children of Dune, and this is something that all these old sci-fi novels suffer from, is all the action. Like, even look at Orson Scott Card's Ender's Game. All of the action happens in the first book, and then the other books that follow are just like a slow winding down of events. So, Ender's Game was like that. All the actions in the first book, and then it's just like these really boring, like, what happens after. And I'm reading about what these books are, and it seems like it's kind of a less exciting what happens after. So I'm wondering here, like, if Dune 1 is successful and they make this the second part, do you think they're going to tackle a Dune Messiah, or a Children of Dune? You think they're going to try to tackle all 6 books?
If they do, then I would say HBO Max would be doing it in a series form, because I don't think Denis Villeneuve is going to be there all the way. I really think you're only going to get him for one more film, and then he's going to move on. Maybe
Yeah.
Blade Runner 3.
Yeah, I mean, one can hope, but I mean, even like reading about these books, like Timothy Chalamet's character like dies in the second book. Sorry, spoiler alert, but so it would seem like you would need a miniseries, because I feel like once the flagpole of a movie like is no longer part of it, I think
Because his
people lose
son
interest.
rises to power and becomes more powerful than even his father in as far as in the future books and whatnot.
Yeah,
So I think that for Timothy Chalamet, the thing though is, I think a lot of people are going off the campy 1984 film where he doesn't die and he becomes the most powerful entity out there, for the universe in Dune. So
yeah,
I think they're basing it a lot off that. So that may be the ending. Who knows? But at this point in time, it's still, we got to get a green light from Warner Brothers on this, and pretty soon. But even if that's the case, we're not going to see it for another couple of years. But it just boggles me why Denis Villeneuve would still not go into this with an assurance that there was another film, that he could do this back to back, that he could film these movies back to back, and not have these being released back to back. That we have to play this waiting game.
yeah, yeah.
It's kind of disappointing that he did this again after learning already what happened, what we learned
And
from Blade Runner
it
2049.
kind of messes with his reputation too, because people are not going to want to give. He's the man to go to tell these intricate sci-fi stories, but nobody. I feel like nobody's going to give him a chance if this were to be bad. And I was almost thinking I was thinking this while I was watching. Like, it would be cool to see his take on a standalone Star Wars movie,
There you go.
not
Very
like a
stylistic.
yeah, not like a trilogy piece, but like a standalone Rogue One type thing.
Not too shabby. There you go. I would like to see that as well. Just the way, just what he could bring to it from a visual standpoint would be just absolutely outstanding. I would
Yeah.
love to see that. Well, what are your thoughts out there on Dune? We both enjoyed Dune. We both like Dune. We both encourage you to see Dune at the theaters. Hint, hint, IMAX. Hint, hint, IMAX. So please share us your thoughts on Dune if you checked it out in the theaters or HBO Max. But either which way, please support Dune to get Dune Part 2 made. Do you think a Dune Part 2 will get made? Please share us your thoughts. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Well, before we hit the break, my friend, and our good friends Don Fobbs and Jamie Monroy coming back to back on our interviews, wanted to go ahead and ask this before we hit the break. The Uncharted film had its first trailer last week. I spoke a little bit about it with Melinda Barkhouse on the PCC Multiverse last Friday, but I know I said that I would save some room for you on this week's episode of the Cosmos. So, all right, my friend, before I go maybe on a little bit even more rant, because I've been thinking more about it, what were your thoughts on the Uncharted trailer?
It was unexpected. I wasn't expecting what I saw, and it seems a weird move for me to see them do like an origin tale, but adapt to the fourth game instead of the first one, which actually tells a really good
There
story.
were elements from the fourth and the third game in there that I
Yeah.
saw.
Well, there was elements for it seems like they were picking bits and pieces from every bit of it though, like
Yeah.
every game they're taking bits and pieces. So it's with that wondering like they're almost like I guess what would you call it like not plundering the franchise. So like if this movie's successful and they move on to a second one, like what's going to be left to do? It seems like they're taking all the best parts of these games and putting them into this movie, but I would assume that they want to make like a trilogy or something or a franchise out of this. So it seems like an interesting move to me. Also,
I mean,
I don't like
no
that.
Elena. There was a lot of people that
Right,
were not in
right,
this.
right. And I also
It was
don't
Chloe though that was in there.
Chloe and the other lady from Lost Legacies in there. She was also the one of the villains in Uncharted 4, but it also seems a weird move for them to like make him actually a teenager in this instead of because they made
But he's
that
not a teenager. He's like in an early, well, actually, like
they
maybe 18, 19.
they made yeah, but I mean he's not over 21, and like they made
Yeah,
that joke about him not being able to drink in the trailer, and
yeah.
I don't like this younger. I don't like this idea of a younger version. I don't know. I still like Tom Holland did a little bit better, I guess, in the role that
To
I.
the choir, my friend.
Yeah, I thought he did a little bit better than I thought he would be, but I still don't think that he was the right fit for that.
He was not the right fit for that. Let's just put it out there. I said that on the Friday show. I've been saying it for a long time, my friend. I was still the biggest Scott Eastwood fan in regards to this. I thought he was a perfect fit. I thought it was a perfect match for it. Right age, right look, right mannerisms, right characteristics. The only thing that he doesn't have is his own name as a star to front this type of film.
Yeah.
You could have put it as a series on a streaming service, and Sony would have still made a killing on it. But I understand. I'm assuming that Tom Holland played the game or just had some sort of affinity for the game and said, "I want to do this as a project." So that's how he got. That's how it got the whole
He's
thing got
definitely
started.
he's hot right now, man, with the Spider-Man, and
I
that's
know, but I'm not happy
that's
about
all
it,
I
my friend.
remember him being in. Yeah.
It just doesn't seem like a good fit. And then Marky Mark, who at one time was pitching to be a Nathan Drake years back, in a one of the many iterations of this movie, how it's gone through production and as
He's
far as trying to
settled.
get made. Yeah, he was actually wanting to be at the Nathan Drake at one time. Probably could have been a better Nathan Drake at that time, but
Yeah.
I just it's very questionable. I'm not understanding why they just don't choose a better path. But again, I'm going to keep my eyes and ears somewhat open. I am going to support it. I'm going to watch it. So we'll see what happens there. But you're going to go at least check it out, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely watch it, and my wife's a big Tom Holland fan, so I'm sure we'll watch it at some point. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't what I thought it would be, but I also it didn't disappoint me, if that makes sense. Like I don't hate what I saw, but I'm not super impressed with what I saw.
Oh, just to let you know, Tati Gabrielle, she plays Braddock. This is a new character. This is not Nadine from the video games. So this is a totally new character that was brought up and created.
It's weird they had her wearing the same things.
Yeah, it's just again, I don't know what they're doing here. Again, that's just so far what I see is there's some changes that because they have to make changes because God forbid anything worked in the whole entire Uncharted series. But and I'm being facetious when I say that, even though it's one of the most stylistic and most cinematic ready video game series of all time. you could just literally cut and paste, and there you go. You would have an excellent movie. But leave it to Hollywood to go ahead and make the tweaks and changes that doesn't necessarily need to be made. But
Yeah.
oh well. But we'll watch it anyways. It is Uncharted, the film that's coming out next year to theaters. So we want to hear your thoughts once again. Have you checked out the trailer for the Uncharted movie? We want to know your thoughts. Are you as kind of bewildered as we are? Or are you excited to see Tom Holland going ahead and just banding about as Nathan Drake in the upcoming Uncharted movie? Please share us your thoughts. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Well, one more thing before we hit the break, my friend, real quick, and I wanted to ask you this. Guardians of the Galaxy. You've got Guardians of the Galaxy coming to video game consoles, coming to PC, Square Enix, Marvel, that whole deal. I mean, after the debauchery known as the Avengers that came out last year and that mess that's finally trying to just starting to get fixed now, what are your thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy? I mean, is it something you'll be excited to go ahead and play as a gamer?
No, I mean, and that's not to say it won't be good. I just like I don't right now. I'm playing Tales of Arise, and I'm really into this game. And I just Guardians of the Galaxy is not something where I'd be like, hold on, I'm gonna pause everything else I'm playing to play this game. That's not to say I won't play it, but it's not. It doesn't seem it's not very important to me. Like it doesn't seem that good to me. But again, it doesn't mean I'm not gonna play it someday. But it's just not something I'm going to run out and spend $60 on.
Well, again, it is Guardians of the Galaxy. Hopefully, it will do very well. We'll see what the reaction is, and I think we'll go ahead and report it on the Friday show what the reaction for this is to see if it's something that people will be interested in. But I'm curious after what happened with the Avengers game if people are ready to go ahead and invest more money with the Square Enix Marvel game after they play or with the upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy game. What are your thoughts out there on Guardians of the Galaxy, the video game? Please let us know. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Well, coming up next, back to back, we've got two great interviews. First up, it's our October TV update with Don Fobbs. And then we've got Jamie Monroy, our good friend and compadre here at Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source, Degenerate 2018 on Twitch. He's going to be up right after that talking about RazorCon 2021 and Nintendo's online issues or problems or rate hikes or benefits. Is it a good thing or bad thing? All the stuff that's going on with Nintendo Online. He's going to talk about that as well. And after that, Josh has some toy memories on the back end of the show. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're back to close out the show. It's the Pop Culture Cosmos. Want to thank so much Dawn Fobbs. She was truly tremendous once again. I'm looking forward to speaking to her on her next TV update next month. Plus also as well our compadre in crime, Mr. Jamie Monroy, our good friend from Game Source and Pop Culture Cosmos. Please go ahead and subscribe to him today on Twitch and follow him on Twitch today at Degenerate 2018. But before we head on out, my friend, just wanted to ask you real quick. You had some toy memories for this week. I said last week about my memories of FAO Schwartz here at the Caesars shops, Caesars Forum shops here in Las Vegas. Had some great memories of that big, huge toy store. But I know you have some new toy memories that you wanted to go ahead and delve into before we head on out.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm gonna eventually make my way up to like KB Toys and Toys R Us, but I think today I want to talk about Target. Okay, Target. Back when I was a kid, they would have, I guess, like floating. What are those like racks? The rolling racks. They would have, they had the toy aisle, but they would also have like these racks like in the fronts of the store of all the hot toys. And I remember walking in there one day, and they had back when the Power Ranger flip heads were popular, and you can get on this cart. They had like the Megazords and like the Power Ranger flip heads, basically everything you wanted of Power Rangers in one place. And this was back in the day when Target actually like carried cool toys. Now they have like collector stuff and all that, and they have some action figures and all that, but it's all over the place. Like it's all over the place, and they can go there and have one thing 1 minute and then not have it the next minute. it felt back then like Target had an identity when it came to toys, and now they just kind of sell whatever. And when I was a kid, I just like I remember walking, and maybe it was because I was a kid, but I remember walking down the toy aisles and just being like enamored by everything I saw. Like you can buy Transformers, you can get GI Joes or Power Rangers, and there was Gundams, there was just like literally everything. And now, and I know this has a lot to do with like the pandemic and all that, and just what it's done to the cargo ships and all that stuff. But now you walk into a toy aisle and like you don't find that much. Like you find the stuff that is popular amongst like kids nowadays, like Roblox and Fortnite and all that stuff. But it just that it's I don't know. Like it was a different time back then, and I remember just being so excited as a kid to get like $10. I want to go to Target and get a toy, and I could do that, and I could find the toy that I was looking for. But now you can't find things anymore. And I know it's no FAO Schwartz with like the 3 stories of toys, but there's a lot. Literally an entire side of the store on Target used to be toys. Now it's like slowly becoming a little bit more condensed, and toys are becoming a little more difficult to find. And that's probably big thanks to some of the scalpers market. But do you like back in the 90s, did you ever walk down the toy aisles at Target?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What?
Walk down. I mean, it was very representative of having a lot of cool stuff. And like you
Yeah.
said, they had a showcase there available that right there about all the hot toys and what was going on, and in as far as which of the hot toys this season, or the ones that they wanted you to get this season, so you could actually see right away which ones were they, in their opinion, or what they wanted to go ahead and put on you, so that which ones were selling the most. But yeah, it just seemed like a pretty good time. Target was something that, as it was getting bigger and bigger in the 90s, it just seemed like it was something that was quite it was different. It was something that was cool to play, cool to go to. It was cool
Hmm.
to enter, cool to be a part of. And I love the snack bar. I love going to
That's
the
right.
having the popcorn and the pretzels there, and all everything related to it. And you're right, that it's a little bit different now. It's obviously they're running the things a little bit different in this day's and age, where they have to compete with the Walmarts and the Amazons and Best Buys of the world. But still, it was kind of cool at that point in time. I know they're very board game oriented now, which is actually cool for the board gamers out there. But to me, the toy department at Target was always something cool to behold.
Yeah, yeah, and like one thing I do specifically remember is that you could go, someone can get like your grandma or mom or dad or whatever could give you like $10, and you can go in, and there was a lot of toys that you could buy for $10 at Target back then. Now, like the cheapest toy that you could probably find at Target now is about $15. And if you want to buy a good action figure, you're paying about $20 to $25 for it. And I guess just like that inflation is what kills me the most, is that these kids are never going to be able to experience what that feels like, because everything is so much more expensive and it's so different. You have these adults, these scalpers who have kind of made it hard for kids to find cool toys without having their parents have to go on eBay. Like just going down, we're at Walmart yesterday, and just walking down that toy aisle there's about 3 grown men, each with their phones out, looking at toys and then looking at how much they're going for on eBay on their phones. So this is just what has been created, I guess, in the past couple of years. But I would love for us to get back to a point where like kids can experience cool toys again at these places that their parents just take them to, on a regular basis.
What are your thoughts out there on Target and its devotion to toys over the years? And if you have any great toy memory, great toy memories as well, we'd love to hear your thoughts on what toys take you back, and the great times that you had, and whether it was a department store, whether it was a toy store, was it a specialty store, or any big moments that you had in your life in regards to toys. Please share us your thoughts. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. My friend, it's been a great episode. Cannot thank you enough. Cannot thank you enough. Gosh, it's tongue tied. Must have been the walk. Cannot thank you enough, as always, for joining me. Want to make sure and let everybody know, if you are interested in shopping it's already starting some of the Black Friday sales. We're already keeping an eye on Walmart and Best Buy and some of those other stores that are actually starting with quote unquote Black Friday sales now. Josh, are you keeping an eye on that as well?
Yeah, I've been watching some of it. A lot of sales on TVs, appliances. There haven't been a lot of like toys or video game sales out there yet. Amazon had a big like anime sale a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, I'm watching it, and I have this. I know that they're kind of trying to trickle these deals out because the supply is so low this year. Um, and maybe next week we can kind of tackle like what do we think the cargo delay, what effect we think the cargo delay is going to have on hot items this season. That would be an interesting topic to explore. Not getting political or anything, but just kind of looking at the effects that's going to have on shopping this holiday season. But it's just I am keeping an eye on it, and I am curious like how things are going to work this season. Just because if you look at the I guess the market today versus what it was last year or the year before that, it is drastically different.
It is indeed, my friend, but we'll keep an eye on it for you. And also keep an eye on our Facebook page where we are the number one tabletop RPG streamer on Facebook. We report the latest news and trends in pop culture right there for you. And also check out when we have good deals popping up, Black Friday deals popping up right there at the Pop Culture Cosmos. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the Pop Culture Cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great